I'm joined today by Tom Bracken, the CEO of New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for being here today, Tom.
My pleasure, Regina.
Well, we are talking all things budget, which I know is very important to the business community. And we've worked together over the last year on trying to keep New Jersey more competitive, specifically on sunsetting a surcharge that had been placed on business. And so that was a successful endeavor on your part and others, of course, but I'm sure that gave great hope to the business community. So we're in a new budget season now, and I'm not exactly sure the business community is as excited about this one, so why don't we start there? It's certainly the elephant in the room.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. 6 years ago, the governor ran on fair and stronger. He has done, I compliment him on the way he has structured a more fair New Jersey. He should get credit for that. He followed through on his promise. Stronger part has always needed work and continues to need work. We were on our way to making stronger, the state stronger economically with the momentum we have, with the CNBC rankings, with some pro-business legislation at the end of last year, with the sunsetting of the surcharge. We were on our way. What we heard yesterday undoes all of that. We are now back to square one. I don't quite understand how you can increase spending when you can't pay for what you have, which is the one thing that sticks out from a volume standpoint in this budget. Secondly, to have sunsetted the surcharge with all the hope and praise we gave the governor, and we backstopped him and others who did not, who let it expire, which he should have. Then to turn around and 2 months later reinstitute it retroactively means that there was absolutely no gap or no end game to the corporate surcharge. It stopped on December 31st. It's going to start again on January 1st. So it just was a continuous tax, which for all the bravado of letting this thing expire, was meaningless.
So now we're back at the top of bottom of the proverbial pile.
We are at the top, which is going in the opposite direction of most states, particularly our neighbor in Pennsylvania. We are now at 11.5%. And let's not lose track of the fact that, people talk about a 2.5% surcharge and they focus on 2.5%. This is a 30% increase on the CBT. 30%. And we have legislators talking about the fact that a 2% increase in property taxes is onerous, and they have to go to 3%. So 3%, they say, is an onerous increase in property taxes. This is a 30% increase in the corporate business tax to the largest employers in the state of New Jersey, the largest corporate philanthropists in the state of New Jersey. They employ hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, and we're slapping them in the face. To fund the New Jersey transit system, which for 6 years in this administration has been a problem. And quite frankly, I think it's gotten worse. Yeah. So all of a sudden, they're throwing up their hands and saying, we can't solve it. So we're asking for a group of 600 companies, which I think this is, to fund our problem. The problem with that is that they're talking about a dedicated funding source. We have just gotten the December numbers from the Treasury. Sales tax was up, personal income tax was up, CBT was down, I think, between 7 and 9%. And that's with the full surcharge in it. It's still down 7 to 9%. There's only two ways that can be down. One, there are fewer companies in that category paying tax, or two, the companies that are in that category have less profit and are paying less tax. Bringing back the surcharge is going to aggravate both of those problems. Look at Prudential and Kenvue. They just announced a week ago layoffs. I'm sure they're going to be impacted by this. How do you think they feel? It makes no sense. There's no linkage between the transit, NJ Transit, and the corporate business community. I mean, there's a peripheral linkage, but nothing direct. And let's look at the entire state of New Jersey. And I know my colleagues in South Jersey are very upset by the fact that companies down there that are making $10 million and more are going to pay this tax. There's no trains. There's no New Jersey Transit down there. Right. They're going to be paying for something they're not even going to get a benefit for.
Well, let's take apart a couple of things. You covered a lot of ground there. So additional piece of context, right, for our audience in terms of that 30% increase you were talking about. As further context for that, it was only 6 years ago that the revenue generated from corporate businesses were about $2.5 billion. It's now $5 billion. So it's doubled, right? The rate may be up there, but the actual revenues are up, doubling, and will obviously be going further.
Right.
And to your point about showing the impact of it, not only in the CBT revenue is faltering this year, and I agree with you. I think it's probably a reflection of both of those things. Yep. You also see, right, our unemployment rate is above the U.S.
Yes.
And trending up, not trending flat like the rest of the country. And other economic indicators are very worrisome from a business health perspective.
Yep.
And so it's I would hope very concerning during this budget now dance, as we like to call it, over the next couple of months. Do you see that there's any opportunity for reconsideration when you look at the consequences of continuing down this path?
Well, the reconsideration would have to be something the legislature does, correct?
Right.
So you can be assured that we are going to be vehemently talking to them, aggressively talking to them in budget hearings and privately about the consequences of doing this. And the main consequence, Regina, is we need to generate organic, ongoing, sustainable revenue. The only way you can do that is to promote the business community, get more companies to come to New Jersey, get the companies here to be happy here, stay here, and grow here. If you don't do that, you're not going to generate that organic income that you need. Because we don't, even the bond ratings were not generated by any real business expansion.
Right.
It was all federal money. So if we don't address our long-term revenue issue, we have a big problem. This budget throws tremendous hurdles in front of that objective.
Yeah.
There's got to be a change of some kind of mentality, hopefully in the legislature, and we have to come up with a way to prove to them that this is a huge mistake. We're having a business summit on March 26th and 27th. We're going to address all the good things that are going on in New Jersey. Many of those are companies that are going to be impacted by this tax. It's going to be a very interesting conversation down there because our primary objective of that summit meeting is to promote New Jersey, promote the assets of New Jersey, promote the growth of New Jersey, why it's a great place to be. We should be a top 10 state in the country from business attractiveness and a desire to do business here. We've improved to 19th from 42nd. We're going to go backwards with this.
Well, and to just come back to one other point that you made about transit and the message this is sending in terms of the budget this year, in that when I hear anyway, if I were running a business, I hear dedicated funding source. It's now part of this corporate tax, and the New Jersey Transit, I think you said, it's probably going backwards, not getting better in terms of real reform. That's got to be incredibly worrisome, I would think, for business leaders, that they'll continue to be on the hook for something that's not being improved.
Yeah, and let's face reality. This is supposed to generate, I believe, $800 million, which I don't think covers the shortfall in New Jersey Transit. So this doesn't even solve
great point.
The whole problem.
Right. Great
and
point.
I can tell you that if it generates $800 million this year, the chances of that money going up is slim to none.
Right.
That pot of money is going to go down, which means the gap between the growing deficits of New Jersey Transit and the amount of money generated is going to widen. Right. So you have jeopardized the future economy of New Jersey for something that doesn't even solve the problem.
It's self-inflicted wounds that we are bringing upon ourselves. So what do you...
And let's talk about one other thing.
Sure.
No business likes to be surprised. Businesses like predictability. This is a surprise, a huge surprise. It wasn't predicted. I mean, it was rumored, and I quite frankly, I thought it would be something that maybe the legislature brought up, not the governor. The governor brought it up. When government officials make statements and they talk about things that are going to be done, because of the complete turnaround with regard to this surcharge, how are we going to accept other statements made by governors and legislative leaders that we can rely on?
Right.
There's no predictability now. The whole predictability issue is gone. And that's a big factor in business. They want to be able to plan for things. They want to be able to understand what's going to happen. They don't want to get last-minute curveballs. They want to be able to make changes that are going to help their company based on factual information that they can rely on. I think that now is in question.
Sure, that undermines all of their credibility. As you say, businesses need to get a return on capital, and that doesn't happen in 1 year. It's got to provide a planning window for them.
And I'll make a prediction. This is a tax on companies making $10 million and more. Next year, if there's a shortfall, conversation is going to be, that wasn't so bad. Let's drop it down to $5 million. Next year, same thing. Let's drop it back down to $1 million. No big deal. It happens that way all the time.
Right. Well,
So it could be a cascading downward spiral that includes more and more companies that'll make us even less competitive. And the three issues that we're trying to solve in the state of New Jersey are affordability, business friendliness, and competitiveness. This surcharge flies right in the face of all three of those. So any momentum we had on those three things has now been severely impacted negatively.
well, of course, our work concurs with your assessment. And while you said you shouldn't make a prediction, we'll have you back, okay? And we'll see kind of how the prediction all turned out after this budget.
My pleasure to come back and talk about it.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Okay, Regina, thanks.